A man is kneeling in a dark room. His lips are moving, but there is no sound. His eyes are shut. His hands rest in his lap, palms facing upward, as if expecting something from someone. An answer? Forgiveness? Or merely a tiny sign that someone is listening? There are walls around him, but he does not see them. The floor is stone, but he does not feel it. Somewhere, a fire must be burning, because his shadow trembles on the wall. But he is not looking at the shadow either. All of his attention is turned inward, focused on the words he is trying to form, the right sentence he cannot find, the vast silence into which he wants to be heard. He knows none of these things, and yet he keeps talking. 5,000 years ago, on the southern plains of Mesopotamia, someone carved 9 words into a wet clay tablet. He did not know whether the god before him could hear. He was not even sure which sin he had committed, but he wrote anyway, because the silence was unbearable. Something was stirring inside, guilt, perhaps an illness, or something worse, a feeling of punishment he could not explain. Everything was going wrong, and he did not know why. The weight of not knowing was heavier than the sin itself. That tablet was one of humanity's earliest known penitential prayers, and the ground on which that man knelt would become the first geography to transform the human need to speak with the unseen into a system, an order, something very nearly approaching a bureaucracy: Babylon. But Babylon was only the beginning, because that movement of lips, that need to speak in the darkness to an invisible counterpart, did not stay there. It traveled to the banks of the Nile. It seeped into the fire temples of Iran. On the riverbanks of India, it became mantra. Across the ocean, in the shadow of a volcano, before a mirror, it turned into confession. And even today, every day, at every dawn, somewhere in the world, someone's lips are moving. So how did humanity learn to speak to its gods? Even asking the question feels strange, because when we say speak, we assume 2 parties, a speaker and a listener. But in prayer, the listening party never answered. At least, no answer was ever recorded. No clay tablet begins with, "and the god replied," not with an answer that a human being personally heard. Yet humans spoke. They kept speaking. For 5,000 years, without receiving an answer, without hesitating, without giving up, they spoke. Why? Perhaps the answer is hidden inside the question itself. Perhaps prayer was never about receiving an answer. Perhaps prayer was the act of speaking itself, humanity's only weapon against silence. Tonight, we will trace the history of that weapon, from clay tablets to papyrus scrolls, from fire temples to pyramids across the ocean, from mantra battlefields to silent desert nights. The 5,000-year journey of humanity's attempt to speak with the unseen. Our starting point, the place where it all began, Babylon. In Babylon, prayer was not something done at random. It was not a cry. It was not saying whatever came to mind. There were strict rules for speaking with the gods, a sequence, a protocol, a predetermined template for the words to be spoken. In Babylon, communication with the gods was not a matter of the heart, it was a profession. There were priests trained for this, specialists who had devoted years to the craft. An ordinary person was not expected to address a god directly. An intermediary was required, much like needing a court official to speak with a king. The god, too, was a kind of king, and commoners did not address kings directly. And the heaviest, darkest link in this system was the penitential psalms. 9 psalms, 9 separate texts, each written for a different god, a different pain, a different sin to be forgiven. But all of them have one thing in common: the person does not know why the god is angry. Each of these 9 texts appeals to a different emotional register. In one there is desperation, in another hope. In one there is fear, in another surrender. In one there is even anger, something close to scolding the god. In every psalm you encounter a different tone in the relationship between a human being and their deity. This is not a monologue, these are 9 different faces of a relationship. In the first psalm, a phrase appears. Beside you, there is no God who guides to the right path. I moaned like doves. This is not a hymn of praise, this is a scream. Before the God, a man who cannot understand what he did wrong has one thing left, repeating the God's name over and over. He does not know why the God is angry. He does not know what he should do, but he has a name, and he keeps saying that name. Perhaps the name is enough. Perhaps the sound itself is enough. But the truly arresting one is the 4th psalm. The man says openly, I do not know the sin I have committed. My sins are 7 times 7. Wait, a human being is addressing a power he cannot stand before and saying, I do not even know what I did, but whatever it was, forgive me. And then the sentence goes further. Of living humans, which one knows anything? Whether what they have done is good or evil, they do not know. A sentence from 5,000 years ago, and today indistinguishable from the inner voice of any person lying in bed at midnight, staring at the ceiling, asking, what did I do wrong? The chasm between a human being and their own actions has not closed in 5 millennia. We still do not know what we have done. We still beg forgiveness for sins we cannot name. In Babylon's penitential tradition, there was a dark logic. Illness, famine, loss, all were signs of divine anger. If the god was angry, a sin existed somewhere. But which one? Sometimes the person knew, most often they did not. Perhaps it was your sin, perhaps the sin of your ancestors, perhaps a rule broken generations ago by someone's name you never knew. You do not know. And so the Psalms were written in general terms, broad enough to fit everyone, wide enough for anyone to utter. Because naming a specific crime carried the risk of naming the wrong one. The safer path, cover everything. In the 9th Psalm, the tone shifts, a break from darkness toward light. Let the 7 winds carry away my sighs, polish me like gold. Let me be precious as a jeweled ring. A transition from a criminal's wail to the poetry of purification. In one psalm there is repentance, in the next there is hope. From mud to gold, from darkness to radiance, both carved on the same clay tablet. From agony to beauty, a single hand's breadth away. The 2nd psalm, in turn, is addressed to a different deity, Ishtar. Repenting before the goddess of war and love is a different experience from repenting before male gods. In the 2nd psalm, the voice is more helpless, more fragile, as if a child were pleading with its mother, but a mother who is also a storm. The one who protects you and the one who destroys you are the same. And across all these psalms, you notice something. In Babylon, the person who prays is not alone. They too know that thousands before them said the same words, read the same lines, shed the same tears. What looks like an individual act is, in truth, an inheritance itself. Every time a psalm is read, the reader becomes a link in a chain stretching across generations. You weep for yourself, but all the weeping that came before you echoes alongside yours. This echo, this structure woven from repetition into time, from time into trust, from trust into the sacred, was not unique to Babylon. Thousands of years later, in vastly different geographies, in vastly different traditions, you will see a similar structure at work. But before we get there, let us stay inside Babylon a while longer. Repentance was only one face of prayer. In Babylon, there were other ways of speaking with the gods, and each god was addressed in a different language, because each god had a different personality, different expectations, a different nature of power. In a prayer written to Marduk, the supplicant says, "Let me live, let me prosper." Short, direct, I want to live and you will permit it. Marduk was the organizer of the universe. When addressing him, no ornament was needed, no verbal padding. What was needed was known by both you and him. All you required was his permission. A prayer to Nabu, known as the carrier of the tablets of destiny, struck an entirely different tone. The person addressing Nabu wrote as though filing a petition. Fate is recorded, the record is in stone. Stone does not erode, but perhaps, just perhaps, Nabu will erase the writing on his tablet and rewrite it. Perhaps the ink has not yet dried. Praying to Nabu was something like submitting a petition to the god of bureaucracy, full of hope, yet without guarantee. To bow, the supplicant would address her as Mighty Lady, Merciful Mother, taking refuge in the maternal divine, in the protective feminine power, appealing the way a child pleads with its mother. Here, strength and mercy coexist. The one who strikes you and the one who embraces you are the same. In prayers to bow, there is an intimacy absent from prayers to male gods, a contradictory closeness. Praying to Nergal, the god of the underworld and death, was another experience altogether. Mightiest of the gods, great in the underworld. Asking something of Nergal meant asking something of death, and sitting down to bargain with death requires courage. Prayers to Nergal are short and chilling, no long supplications, no long catalogues, a few sentences, and then silence, as if speaking too much would anger Nergal, as if death were an impatient listener. To Ninib, the supplicant would say, "You hold the hand of the weak," god of war and agriculture, yet the face most prominent in his prayers was mercy, powerful yet able to touch the fragile, a crack in the understanding of divinity, strength and tenderness meeting in the same figure. In the hymn written to the moon god Sin, there is a different atmosphere from all the others. O mighty bull with terrible horns, your command roars like a storm in the sky. Is this a prayer or a confession of terror? Perhaps both. In the earliest forms of prayer, reverence and fear are inseparable, like flame and heat. And then there was the prayer of war. In military divinations, prayers to the sun god Shamash, a commander would ask before battle, "Will we win?" But the question was not a genuine inquiry, it was an expectation of confirmation. Prayer here was not consultation, it was legitimation. The god would say yes because the priest knew the ritual that would produce a yes. That thin line where prayer turns into manipulation had already been crossed in Babylon. In an Assyrian king's enthronement inscription, there is a complete divine roll call. Ashur, Anu, Bel, Ea, Sin, Shamash, Adad, Marduk, Nabu, Ninurta, Nergal, Ishtar, each named one by one. Each asked for a separate favor. This is not a prayer, it is a guest list, an invitation. The king is summoning the entire Pantheon to his table and declaring, "I need every one of you." Prayer here functions as a diplomatic, notarial document. There was also the distinctive repetition pattern of the ritual world. When someone fell ill, a priest would address Marduk. Marduk would turn to his father, the wise Ea, and ask. Ea would give the same answer every time. "My son, what can I tell you that you do not already know?" And then he would share the remedy. The same dialogue in every ritual, word for word the same. Because in Babylon, the power of prayer was not novelty, it was repetition. The sacredness of a phrase was measured by how many times you said it. Repetition meant trust, and trust was the precondition of divine response. Here lies a paradox. Prayer is by definition a personal act, giving voice to what pains you, asking for help that is specific to you. But in Babylon, prayer was not personal, it was formulaic, a system in which everyone said the same words, everyone read the same psalms, everyone followed the same ritual. Your personal pain was poured into a universal mold. You were not special, and neither was your suffering. But perhaps the consolation lay precisely there. You are not alone. Thousands before you felt the same thing, and thousands after you will feel it too. The psalm was a bridge across time. From the Euphrates, head west to the banks of the Nile. There, in a geography where thousands of gods were worshipped, another voice rises, and this voice utters an unexpected sentence. In a prayer written to Amun-Ra, despite the knowledge of dozens of divine names, the priest begins, "There is no God but you." A single sentence, but its weight is immense. A priest coming from a temple tradition that housed statues of dozens of gods says, "There is no one but you." This is not a monotheist manifesto. In Babylon or Egypt, the doctrine of a single god was a matter for centuries yet to come. What is at work here is something else, a focusing born from the very nature of prayer. When a person prays, they focus. Whoever they stand before, in that moment, that single being fills the entire universe. Whether other gods exist or not, in that instant, it ceases to matter. Prayer, by its nature, singularizes. There may be hundreds of gods, but only one pair of eyes turns toward you, and in that moment, that single pair of eyes becomes the sole reality. The fact that this prayer to Amun-Ra is considered one of history's earliest monotheistic formulations is, ironically, rooted not in a theological declaration, but in a prayer. While speaking to their god, the human unconsciously discovered that they had no need for more than one deity. Prayer shaped belief, not thought shaping prayer, not belief shaping prayer, but the act of speaking itself shaping conviction. This is an unexpected outcome, a human being arriving at a new form of belief not through thought, but through action. They prayed first, then thought, not the reverse. They said, "There is no one but you," first, then grasped what it meant. Prayer came before philosophy. Perhaps it always does. Humans feel first, then think, then systematize, and prayer is that first feeling transformed into sound. There is emotional depth in the prayer text too. Amun-Ra is called the pasture of all living creatures, God the shepherd, humans the flock. But this is not a degradation. A shepherd knows its flock, protects its flock, stays awake for its flock, and the flock trusts the shepherd. That trust is a mutual covenant, and prayer is the audible expression of that covenant, a pledge of loyalty renewed every day.
The shepherd metaphor is not unique to Egypt. Hundreds of years later, in different traditions, in different languages, the same image will appear again and again. God the shepherd, humanity the flock. This would become one of the most enduring images in humanity's view of the divine, and each time the same message: know me, protect me, do not abandon me. And there is something else in the Egyptian prayer tradition: speaking with the dead. In Egypt, prayer was not directed solely at the gods. The deceased, too, were addressed. A mother would write a letter to her dead child, not on clay, but on papyrus. "What did I ever do to you that you give me this pain?" she would ask. The dead could be scolded. The dead could be held to account. Because in Egypt, prayer was not only directed upward, it could also point sideways or downward. Anyone invisible was a potential interlocutor. This is a detail that expands the boundaries of prayer. Prayer is not just speaking with a god, it is speaking with the unseen. And the unseen may sometimes be a god, sometimes a dead beloved, sometimes an unborn child. There are no limits. The only condition, you cannot see the one before you, but you believe they exist. But the words of the dead and the world of the dead, those belong to another topic, another night. In the same lands where those rivers flow, but in a different temple, another voice rises, this time addressed to a goddess, Ishtar. The tone of the hymn written to Ishtar is completely different from the prayer to Amun-Ra. There is no confidence here. There is awe, a breathtaking, overwhelming, diminishing awe mixed with dread. In the hymn, the goddess proclaims her own power. "Queen of the heavens, I destroy the heavens, I lay waste to the earth." These are not words spoken from a human mouth. These are words the priest channels from the goddess's own voice. In the hymn, the supplicant first describes the goddess's greatness, then enumerates her power, then gives voice to their helplessness before that power. And this triple sequence, praise, power, diminishment, is a structure that recurs in many prayers of the ancient world. Know your God, exalt your God, shrink before your God. This triple structure, praise, power, diminishment, is not unique to the Ishtar hymn. It appears in Babylon's penitential psalms as well, in Egypt's prayer to Amun-Ra as well, and hundreds of years later in prayers written on different continents, in different languages, it will confront us again. When a human addresses their God, they first magnify the deity, then accept their own smallness, and the distance between those two gestures, the chasm between magnification and diminishment, is the space in which prayer lives. But this hymn holds something else. Ishtar is depicted with a crown of stars upon her head, a child in her arms. Queen of the heavens, star-crowned mother, virgin with child. These images will reappear hundreds of years later in the iconography of another tradition. The same images, the same epithets, a different name. An influence? A coincidence? Or the universal, immutable form that humanity gives to the feminine divine? This debate has no end. And here we do not close that door, but know that it exists. One final striking detail in the Ishtar hymn. The supplicant ultimately does not ask Ishtar for forgiveness, does not ask for protection, only asks to be recognized. See me, know me, remember me. Perhaps this is the most fundamental form of prayer, to be seen, not to receive an answer, but to be noticed by someone in the dark.
There is something else about the Ishtar hymn as well. The hymn speaks from the goddess's mouth, but the person who wrote it was a priest, a man. Throughout the history of prayer, nearly all texts written to goddesses were penned by men. Did women pray? Of course, but did their prayers make it onto tablets? Very rarely. The record was in the hands of men. And when men addressed the feminine divine, they projected their own fears, their own needs, their own disappointments. The Ishtar hymn describes a goddess, but in truth it describes a man's helplessness, wonder, and surrender before power. Does prayer have a gender? In all likelihood, no. But the recorded history of prayer, that most certainly does. The prayers carved into tablets are men's prayers. The texts written on papyrus are men's texts. The words that fell from women's lips, those remained in the air, never carved in stone. Today we cannot know. How did women speak with their gods? Did they speak differently, more quietly, more boldly, in a different language entirely? We will never know, because those words were never set down in writing, and what is not written down is erased from history. But not everyone spoke to their gods this openly, this personally. In some traditions, prayer was not even considered an individual act. In ancient Iran, it was not deemed proper for a person to pray alone, solely for themselves. Prayer was a collective act. If one person prayed, the entire community was present within that prayer, including the king, including the slave, including the dead. Personal requests, personal supplications, personal forgiveness, these were not uttered in isolation. Because in this tradition, the human being had not come into the universe alone. The talk was not of individual sin so much as of being part of a cosmic balance. And if that balance had been disturbed, no single person's prayer could restore it. Fire was at the center of this collective prayer. In Iran's prayer tradition, fire was not a decorative backdrop, not an atmospheric element. Fire was the direct manifestation of the divine presence. One stood before the fire, one spoke toward it. The spoken words did not vanish into the air, they rose with the flame. The person praying knew their words ascended to the sky with the smoke. Smoke was a carrier. Words were surrendered to the fire, and the fire conveyed them heavenward. And here a fascinating contradiction lies hidden. There was no temple, no idol, no statue. The prayer made to one of the world's most abstract conceptions of God, Ahura Mazda, was conducted, paradoxically, before the most concrete of objects, fire. Perhaps, no matter how abstractly a person thinks, they need a face to which they can speak. Abstraction sufficed for thought, but for prayer it was not enough. Prayer required a direction, a target, a point at which the eyes could gaze, and the flames provided that point. Fire has another quality. It is alive. It moves, it changes color, it grows and shrinks, it seems to breathe. A stone statue is dead, but fire lives. And perhaps the person praying needed something that would answer, or at least something that appeared to answer. When the flames flickered, the supplicant could interpret it as a sign. Smoke scattered by the wind could be taken as a reply. Fire was the noisiest spokesperson of a silent god. There is also an example from the daily ritual of an Assyrian king. The king would pray every morning to the gods, to Bel, to Nabu, and these prayers were recorded alongside political documents. Prayer was part of the affairs of state. Before a conquest, permission was sought from the god. After a conquest, the god was thanked. The king's prayer resembled a commander reporting to headquarters. Prayer here was not sincerity, it was accountability. And there is an example that goes one step further. A king began to pray to the foreign gods of the lands he had conquered. He showed reverence even to deities outside his own pantheon, because the easiest way to win the loyalty of a conquered people was to extend a hand to their gods. This was one of those moments when prayer became a political and diplomatic instrument. You are not speaking to the god, you are speaking to that god's people, and prayer is the bridge between them. A king who could show reverence to the gods of other religious traditions, this notion was far ahead of its time, but the motive was not spiritual, it was pragmatic. Prayer, from time to time, became another face of diplomacy. And this pragmatic understanding of prayer is, in truth, the opposite of sincerity. In Babylon, when a man read a penitential psalm, he was genuinely suffering. He did not know his sin, but his pain was real. When a king prayed to a foreign god, however, there was no pain, there was calculation. Prayer evolved in two different directions. On one side, an internal, individual, deep, sincere cry. On the other, an external, public, calculated, strategic performance. And for 5,000 years, these two directions always coexisted. Head east. Cross beyond the Indus. There, prayer has transformed into something entirely different. There, prayer is not merely word, it is sound. In the ancient Indian tradition, there is a concept, mantra. A mantra is a word or a sentence, but not an ordinary word. If repeated with the correct sound, the correct rhythm, the correct number of times, it transforms into a power that affects the universe. An ancient text says, "Worship without mantra is like a wooden elephant statue or a leather deer, ineffective. Form is present, but spirit is absent. The body exists, but life does not. A ritual performed without sound is a lifeless corpse." Consider this comparison, a wooden elephant statue. It is not a real elephant, it has the appearance, but none of the power. It cannot move, cannot make a sound, has no life. Worship without mantra is the same. You can perform all the forms, execute all the movements, but if there is no sound, there is no soul. This recalls the importance Babylon placed on repetition. There, too, the power of the word lay not in its content, but in its repetition. Here, however, the power resides in the sound itself. So why is sound so important? Because in this tradition, creation itself began with sound. The first moment of the universe was an explosion, not a physical one, but a vibration, a resonance, a cosmic sound. And when a person chants a mantra, they are repeating that original vibration. Every mantra is a return to creation. Every repetition is a salute to the instant the universe was born. In a prayer to the sun is invoked as Lord of 1,000 rays. The prayer is repeated 3 times. With each repetition, the supplicant symbolically circumambulates the sun.
repetition, revolution, repetition, revolution. This is worship, but it is also choreography. Body and voice move together. A tradition in which prayer is performed not only with the tongue, but with the entire body. Lips speak, hands join, feet turn, the body bows. Every limb is part of the prayer.
And within this tradition, there is another layer of depth. Prayers to Varuna, known as the guardian of cosmic order, contain what are perhaps some of the ancient world's most personal confessions of sin. Before Varuna, the individual enumerates the petty stains of their daily life one by one: lying to a friend, gambling, breaking a promise, coveting a neighbor's goods. This is not a psalm, it is a confession. And the counterpart is not a priest, but the god directly. No one stands between, no intermediary, just you and that face. In this regard, the Varuna prayers diverge from the Babylonian psalms. In Babylon, the refrain was, "I do not know which sin I committed." In India, the person knows exactly, but is ashamed to say it. And the power of prayer emerges in the overcoming of that shame. In Babylon, not knowing is the pain. In India, knowing is the pain. And both traditions do the same thing to cope with that pain. Speak. Pour the agony into words. Break the silence. The difference lies not in the nature of the anguish, but in the manner of expressing it. And there is yet another paradox in India's prayer tradition. In the mantra system, words do not matter, sound matters. In the Varuna confessions, sound does not matter, words matters. Two opposing approaches within the same tradition. In one, there is no meaning, but there is sound. In the other, there is no sound, but there is meaning. As if prayer were a vessel that cannot carry both at once. You are either sound or word. Being both simultaneously, that is not so easy. Cross the Himalayas, climb higher, into the thin air of the Tibetan plateau, where monasteries cling to cliffsides and prayer flags snap in the endless wind. Here, mantra evolved into something else entirely. The most famous 6 syllables in the world, Om Mani Padme Hum. Carved into rocks, painted on prayer wheels, whispered by pilgrims circling holy mountains, chanted by monks in the pre-dawn darkness of temple halls. What did these syllables mean? The literal translation, the jewel in the lotus, barely scratches the surface. Each syllable corresponds to one of the 6 realms of existence. Each syllable is a key that unlocks a different door of compassion. When a Tibetan turns a prayer wheel, each rotation sending Om Mani Padme Hum into the universe, they are not merely praying for themselves, they are praying for all sentient beings. This is prayer as cosmic engine. The prayer wheel spins, the flags flutter, the mantras multiply, and with each multiplication, suffering decreases. Not just your suffering, but everyone's. Prayer here is not a private transaction between you and a god. It is participation in the universe's movement toward liberation. But there is yet another form of Tibetan prayer that is almost invisible. Meditation on the breath. No words, no sound, just awareness. Watching the breath enter, watching the breath leave, and in that watching, a prayer more silent than silence. The great teachers said, between one thought and the next, there is a gap. In that gap lies the nature of mind, luminous, empty, without boundary. To rest in that gap is to pray without words, to pray without even the intention of praying. This is the furthest point the human attempt to speak with the divine can reach, the point where speaking ends, where the distinction between speaker and listener dissolves, where prayer becomes not an act but a state. And if these contemplations felt weightless, across the ocean there is something heavier still. In the Aztec world there was a god, Tezcatlipoca. His name meant smoking mirror, the god who sees inside a person, who finds what is hidden, who illuminates what lurks in the dark, but who burns while illuminating. The penitential prayer to Tezcatlipoca is one of the most striking texts of the ancient world. The supplicant addresses him thus: O our mirror, O our great God. Mirror. God is a mirror. Here, prayer is not speaking with a god, it is confronting yourself. Tezcatlipoca is not outside you. He is the bright, merciless surface standing behind your eyes, showing you everything you have been avoiding. This prayer is structured differently from conventional prayers. In Babylon, across a 400-word psalm, a person declared that they did not know what they had done. Before Tezcatlipoca, however, the person knows exactly what they have done and is terrified of uttering it. The guilt here is not vague, it is sharp, concrete, a crime felt all the way to the capillaries, a weight settling in the pit of the stomach. And the God, rather than forgiving, shows you yourself. This is where prayer transforms into something else, not forgiveness, but awareness. You address the God, but the God does not answer you. The God shows you to yourself. And perhaps this is one of prayer's oldest functions, to bring a person face to face with their own shadow. In Babylon, the god would punish, but would also forgive. In India, Varuna would hear and decide. But Tezcatlipoca neither punishes nor forgives. He only shows. Amira's job is not to judge, it is to reflect. And the person decides for themselves what to do with their own reflection. This is prayer's loneliest form, because in the end, the one who will forgive or punish you is not the God, it is yourself. And then there's the timing of the Tezcatlipoca prayer. This prayer was not made at random. On specific days, under specific conditions, under priestly supervision, and it could be performed only once in a person's lifetime. There was no second chance. One opportunity, one confession, one mirror. After that, whatever you saw, you saw. This one-time only rule, when you think about it, is crushing. In Babylon, you could repeat the Psalms as many times as you wished. In India, mantra was built on repetition by definition. In Iran, you could pray every morning if you so chose. But in the Aztec world, repentance comes once. What will you say? How will you say it? You must choose that moment well, because there is no second confession, no second mirror. This one-time repentance is, in truth, asking the person, "Who are you?" completely, withholding nothing. Speak now, because you will not get another chance. On the same continent's southern reaches, at the feet of the Andes, an entirely different tone. This time, not a supplication, a greeting. In the Inca tradition, prayers were made to the sun, but this was not a nighttime prayer, not a prayer of fear. It was a welcoming ritual performed at every dawn. Sun priests would face east and greet the rising sun with words. The sun was a god, but also a father, a protector, and the prayer offered to it resembled a child saying good morning to its father.
Try to picture this. At 4,000 meters, on a plateau where the air is thin and breath comes short, dawn has just broken. The silhouette of the mountains shifts from darkness into blue, and there, upon a stone platform, a priest waiting for the first rays of the sun. Cold, wind, silence, then the first light, and the priest begins to speak. As the sun rises, so do the words. Prayer is born alongside the light. An ancient text has preserved the words of this prayer. O sun, you who are in peace and safety, shine upon us, keep us from illness, hold us in health and security. Simple words, no complex theology, no mythological allusion, a plain, unadorned request to a father figure, protect us. But in the following line, the tone shifts. O sun, you who said, let Cuzco and Tampu be, grant that these children conquer all other peoples. This is where prayer slides into interesting territory. The first sentence is universal. Any person in any age could say, protect us. The second sentence is political. Prayer has suddenly become a political demand. Ensure that we defeat our enemies. The Inca sun prayer is a vivid example of how the sacred and the political intertwine in a single breath. You ask the god for both mercy and victory,
You want him to be both father and commander. There is also a hymn written to the creator god Viracocha. In this hymn, the tone is entirely different. The sun prayer is concrete: protect, shine, grant victory. The Viracocha hymn is abstract: who are you? Where are you? Where can I find you? Questions are being put to the creator, and no answer is expected. This is another form of prayer, asking questions, posing a question whose answer you do not know to a being you know cannot reply, accepting that prayer is not a false dialogue, but a genuine monologue. So who is this monologue for? For the god, or for the one asking the question? This question has been asked by another tradition in another geography. In the desert lands of North America, in the red mesas and canyons of what is now called Arizona and New Mexico, the Navajo people developed one of the most poetic prayer traditions in human history. Picture the scene: a hogan, an earth-covered dwelling at dusk. Inside, a singer begins to chant. But this is not a simple hymn. It is an invocation of cosmic architecture. O you who dwell in the house made of the dawn, in the home of evening twilight, in the house made of dark cloud, in the house made of the he-rain, in the house made of the she-rain, in the house of peace, where the dark mist curtains the door, the path to which is on the rainbow, where the zigzag lightning stands on high. This is not metaphor. For the Navajo, these are literal descriptions of sacred geography. The divine does not live in a temple. It lives in weather itself, in rain that fecunds, the he-rain, and rain that nurtures, the she-rain, in mist and cloud, and the path that only light can walk. And then the litany continues. With your moccasins of dark cloud, come to us. With your headdress of dark cloud, come to us. Come with far darkness made of the he-rain over your head. Come with your wings carrying the zigzag lightning. Come with the rainbow hanging on the ends of your wings. This deity is not human-shaped. It has wings. It wears weather. Its feet are clouds, and its crown is storm. When a Navajo prays, they are not speaking to a king on a throne. They are speaking to the sky itself, animated, alive, approaching. And at the heart of Navajo prayer lies one concept above all others: Hojo, usually translated as beauty, but that word is insufficient. Hojo means harmony, balance, the way things should be when nothing is out of place. Health is Hojo. A good harvest is Hojo. Peace in the family is Hojo. And when something goes wrong, illness, discord, bad fortune, the cure is to restore Hojo through ceremony, through word, through prayer.
The most famous Navajo prayer ends with a line repeated 4 times. In beauty I walk. With beauty before me I walk. With beauty behind me I walk. With beauty above me I walk. With beauty below me I walk. With beauty all around me I walk. In beauty it is finished. This is not petition. This is declaration. The one who prays does not ask for beauty. They claim it. They walk inside it. They become surrounded by it. Prayer here is not begging. It is alignment. You do not ask the universe to change. You change your own relationship to the universe. This is prayer in its most elemental form, the form that needs no theology, no doctrine, only a human being and the boundless sky before them, and the single word spoken to that sky: beauty. In the northwest of India, in the land of Punjab, 500 years ago, a man asked a different question. What if all prayers actually go to the same God? Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism, disappeared one morning while bathing in a river. When he returned 3 days later, his first words were, "There is neither Hindu nor Muslim." That sentence laid the foundation of a new religion, and the prayer of this religion aimed to transcend all traditions. Japji Sahib, the Sikh morning prayer, is recited every day before dawn. It begins with Ek Onkar, one God, singular, beyond everything. And there is something remarkable about this prayer. There is no fear, no guilt, no demand, only recognition, an attempt to understand what God is and is not. In Japji, Guru Nanak says, however many words describe him, they all fall short. This is a different reflection than Tezcatlipoca's mirror. The Aztec God showed you to yourself. The Sikh prayer tries to understand God and accepts that it cannot, and that acceptance becomes the prayer itself. I don't know, but I seek. Perhaps this is the most honest prayer there is. There is another tradition in Sikhism, langar. After prayer ends, everyone eats together. King eats alongside beggar. No caste, no class, no distinction between rich and poor. The same floor, the same food, the same community. Prayer ceases to be an individual cry and becomes a collective act. After speaking to God, you sit with human beings, and perhaps true prayer is the sum of both, calling upward, bending toward who is beside you. Picture a priest in white garments standing at the edge of a river, a branch in his hand, a prayer on his lips. But this prayer is not free form. It has been determined word for word. Every syllable has been written in advance, committed to the record, passed down unchanged from generation to generation. And the priest's task is to recite these words in full, in the correct order, in the correct tone. Not one syllable more, not one syllable less. Water for this tradition was what fire was for Iran. In Iran, fire carried prayer to the sky. Here, water carries away impurity. Water flows, pollution flows with it, and what remains behind is purity. The priest's words move alongside the water. They are spoken and finished, yet their effects linger, just as water erodes the stone through which it passes. In the Japanese Shinto tradition, this is called norito. Norito is a purification prayer, but purification here is not cleansing from sin as in Babylon. It is cleansing from defilement. Contact with death, illness, natural disaster, these create kegare, a spiritual pollution. And the way to cleanse that pollution is to speak the right words in the right order at the right time. The logic behind norito is this: words do not merely carry meaning, words carry power. The right word spoken at the right moment affects the invisible world. The wrong word spoken at the wrong moment disrupts the balance. This is why norito is memorized. There is no improvisation, no personal interpretation, no additions. The priest's job is not to create, but to transmit, to carry the words from the past into the present. Like a postman, he did not write the letter, but he is the one who delivers it.
Here, another dimension of prayer emerges: preservation. It was present in mantra as well, the power of sound. It was present in Babylon too, the sacredness of repetition. In Iran as well, the mediation of fire. But in Shinto, this idea reaches its purest expression. The right word at the right moment physically changes the world. It cleanses disease, it removes defilement, it erases the shadow of death. I cannot help asking, what if the wrong word were spoken? If a syllable were skipped, if a tone veered off, would the ritual be broken? And would a broken ritual, instead of solving the problem, make it even worse? I found the answer to this question in no text. Perhaps the question itself was the priest's greatest fear. And in Shinto's Norito tradition, there is something else worth noting. The prayer is not individual. It is performed on behalf of the community. The priest is not purifying himself, he is cleansing the community's defilement. Someone's death means everyone is polluted. Someone's illness means the entire village is shadowed.
and the priest's task is to dispel that shadow with words. This resembles Iran's collective understanding of prayer. There too, the individual could not pray alone. There too, the community was a whole. But there is a difference. In Iran, the core matter was asking, making a demand. In Shinto, it is purification, being rid of something. One looks forward, give us. The other looks backward, take from us. The same mechanism, opposite directions. From one end of the world to the other, different traditions spoke to different gods in different languages. But in all of them, a shared truth persists. Human beings never trusted their own words. Think of the most frequently repeated words in the world. An advertising slogan? Song lyrics? A political motto? No. According to one belief, the Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Quran, consists of the world's most frequently repeated words. Every day, in every corner of the globe, people who speak different languages, who live different lives, who have never met one another, say the same words: morning, midday, afternoon, evening, night, 5 times a day. The same chapter at every prayer. The annual number of repetitions is measured in the billions. According to this tradition, the Fatiha is the essence of prayer. Within it, 3 fundamental elements converge: hamd, praise, gratitude, recognition; istiyana, seeking help, taking refuge in power; and a request for guidance, guide us to the straight path. In 7 short sentences, the 3 primal functions of prayer unite: to praise, to ask, to seek direction. Nowhere else have these 3 been joined so intensely in so brief a text. And consider this, within the Fatiha, there is no political demand. In the Inca sun prayer, there was defeat our enemies. In the Assyrian king's prayer, there was bless my conquest. In Babylon, there was save me from disease. In the Fatiha, there is no concrete demand at all, only direction. What does the straight path mean? For each person, it may differ. And perhaps the secret of a prayer's universality lies precisely here. The fewer concrete demands you contain, the more people you address. Within this tradition's understanding of prayer, there is also a question of origin. According to Islamic tradition, the first prayer goes back to the first human being. After descending to the earth, when the human committed their first mistake, they did not know how to ask for forgiveness, and words were inspired in them. Our Lord, we have wronged ourselves. This is the first sentence of repentance that this tradition acknowledges. And a striking point, the words do not come from the human, the words are given to the human.
This is a motif that recurs throughout the history of prayer. In Babylon, the priest teaches the words. In India, the guru selects the mantra. In Shinto, tradition determines the words. And here, the words come directly from the divine source. Human beings have never managed to find the right words on their own. Either someone taught them, or tradition passed them down, or, at least according to this belief, God himself bestowed them. Just as the Psalms in Babylon were written as templates, just as Norito in Shinto was transmitted from generation to generation, just as mantras in India were meticulously preserved, the traditions of different continents and different ages have silently arrived at the same conclusion. When a human wishes to speak with God, their own words are not enough. You can address God only with the words that God gave or approved. Prayer is less something that humans produce and more something that humans receive. This thought profoundly shapes the human's position before God. You cannot speak, but if you are given permission to speak, you can. You cannot find words, but if words are given to you, you can utter them. Prayer is not a freedom, it is a grace, and the person who receives that grace must preserve it, guard it, transmit it without alteration, because to change a given word is to reject the authority that gave it. There is a music here, the repetition of words turning into melody, breath keeping rhythm. Every prayer tradition has created its own music, from the monotone repetition of psalms to the vibration of mantras to the dramatic crescendo of the Ishtar hymn.
At a certain point, prayer ceased to be mere speech and became sound, melody, very nearly music. But the relationship of music to the sacred, that is a story unto itself. And returning to the universal dimension of the Fatiha, in this prayer there is no geographical reference, no date, no address to a specific name. Lord of all the worlds, no borders. This is not the prayer of a specific people, a specific time, a specific land. It is everyone's prayer. And perhaps that is why, in 5,000 years of prayer history, no other single text has been repeated by so many people across so wide a geography for so long a time. The Psalms of Babylon were forgotten. Egypt's prayer to Amun-Ra became an archaeological curiosity. No one reads the Ishtar hymn today, but the Fatiha is still read every day, every hour. And this continuity, this unbroken repetition without parallel in 5,000 years of prayer history, is perhaps prayer's greatest achievement, not being forgotten. What if there were a tradition that never prayed at all, in which God, or the absolute principle, was not a being that could be prayed to? In one philosophical tradition, you cannot pray to the fundamental principle of the universe. It has no temple, it has no ritual. You do not call out to it because it is not a person, it is not a will, it is not an interlocutor. It is the absolute substance behind all things, but you cannot converse with that substance, just as you cannot write a letter to gravity, just as you cannot plead with time. This idea is the hardest slap dealt to 5,000 years of prayer tradition. In Babylon, knowing the god's name was sufficient. In Egypt, praising the god was sufficient. In Iran, standing before the fire was sufficient. In India, producing the correct sound was sufficient. But in this tradition, nothing is sufficient, because there is no one before you, or rather, there is no person before you. You cannot come face to face with something that is everywhere. And this thought, paradoxically, strips prayer's deepest question bare. Is a counterpart required for prayer? Or is prayer an act independent of any counterpart? Do you need someone listening in order to speak, or is the act of speaking itself enough? At the exact opposite pole stands another approach. An ancient thinker, at the end of his life, awaiting the death sentence, offers a single prayer. And his prayer is the briefest of prayers. Give me whatever is best for me. That is all. He does not ask for forgiveness, nor victory, nor health, nor paradise, nor immortality. He does not even specify what he wants. He simply says, whatever is best, and leaves it at that. And the power of this prayer lies not in its content, but in its surrender. You do not know what you want, but the one before you knows, and you trust in that knowledge. This is the exact opposite of Babylon. In Babylon, the person did not know which sin they had committed, but they knew what they wanted, forgiveness. Here, the person knows their sin, but does not know what they want. Forgiveness, salvation, peace? You do not know. You say whatever is best, and let go of the rest. Perhaps this is the most mature point that 5,000 years of prayer history has reached. The earliest prayers were long, detailed, written in catalogs. Over time, they grew shorter, more distilled, and in the end, they contracted to a single sentence: give me what is best. Can prayer become more powerful the fewer words it uses? Perhaps. Perhaps the deepest prayer is the one conducted in silence. On one side, there is not even a counterpart to pray to. On the other, a prayer that has surrendered unconditionally to its counterpart. Both are products of the same era, the same geography. Both offer different answers to humanity's oldest question: does my speaking have any meaning? And that question revolves around a pendulum 5,000 years long. In Babylon, they answered, speak because the god is listening. Follow the rules, adhere to the protocol. In Egypt, speak because there is no one but you. In Iran, speak but not alone, together. In India, do not speak makes sound. Sound is sufficient. Among the Aztecs, speak but only once. In Shinto, speak but word for word. And the philosophical tradition, do not speak. There is no one to answer. None of these answers is definitive. None refutes another. All of them may be true simultaneously. And perhaps the beauty of prayer lies precisely here, in the place where certainty does not exist. Who knows? Perhaps the real history of prayer lies not in the words that were spoken, but in the moment before the words, that brief silence, lips not yet moving, hands not yet opened, eyes about to close, and the human, despite everything, not knowing whether an answer will come, not certain whether anyone is listening, decides to speak. The moment of that decision, the razor-thin distance between silence and speech, the very edge of the abyss, holding the breath, and then letting go, uttering the first word. Whether that word is, "I do not know my sin," or "There is no one but you," or "Shine upon us," or "Oh, our mirror," that first word is the one thing that has not changed in 5,000 years. 5,000 years ago, a sentence carved into wet clay, "I do not know my sin." A word whispered on the banks of the Nile, "There is no one but you." A supplication murmured atop a mountain before a fire. A purification performed on a riverbank with memorized words. A heart-wrenching confession spoken before a mirror on the other side of the ocean, "Oh, our mirror." A greeting said to the sun at the foot of the Andes, "Shine upon us." And in every corner of the world, every day, at every dawn, the same 7 sentences rising from millions of mouths. Different languages, different gods, different fears and different hopes, different sins and different skies, but always the same gesture, kneeling, closing the eyes, and beginning to speak toward the darkness, toward the silence. Did that darkness, that silence, ever answer? I do not know. Across 5,000 years of records, no tablet, no papyrus, no archaeological find gives us a definitive answer. There is no voice of the gods in these records, only the voice of humans. Only supplication, praise, confession, fear, hope, surrender. One-sided, always one-sided. But there is one thing I do know. Humanity never stopped speaking. For 5,000 years, every night, every dawn, somewhere in the world, someone's lips are moving. In a dark room, before a flame, on a riverbank, atop a mountain, on a prayer rug, inside a church, at the edge of a forest, someone kneels and begins to speak. Even if no one answers, even if no sign arrives, even if no flame, no wind, no dream sends a reply. And this persistence despite the silence, this conversation that continues despite receiving no answer, this will that rests on no proof yet bows to no refutation, is perhaps prayer itself, humanity's oldest, most silent, and most stubborn act.